Okay, 6 o'clock. Are we ready to go, team? Yay, okay. Okay, so for the recording, welcome back. We are studying the Source of All My Good practice module, and we are on to class 3. So let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you. They're gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. It feels so good to be here with them. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Or you could even use an area of our world where conflict has just escalated terribly. Think of how much you would like to be able to help that person, those people, all of them, both sides. Recognize how limited we feel in what we can actually do. Understanding karma and emptiness, we have a glimpse that there is a way, there is something that we can do to help those others in that deep and ultimate way, the way through which they will all go on to stop their distress forever. Even if we're not convinced it's possible, how wonderful it would be if we could. So I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And even into an intention. Or even into a determination if you feel ready. Then turn your mind back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn, what we need to do to become one who can help those others in that deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands. And we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamnirya Tayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the sake of every other. So please allow me to read our verses again. You listen. And then we'll go back in and do our meditative preliminaries. And then learn some more about this path. The Source of All My Good by Lama Jetson Kappa, 1357 to 1419. The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to them in the proper way is the very root of the path, and grant me then to serve and follow them with all my strength and reverence. Bless me first to realize that the excellent life of leisure I have found just this once is ever so hard to find and ever so valuable. Grant me then to wish, and never stop to wish, that I could take its essence night and day. My body and the life in it are as fleeting as the bubbles in the sea froth of a wave. Bless me first thus to recall the death that will destroy me soon, and help me find sure knowledge that after I have died, the things I have done, the white or black, and what these deeds will bring to me, follow always close behind, as certain as my shadow. Grant me then ever to be careful to stop the slightest wrong of many wrongs we do, and try to carry out instead each and every good of the many that we may. Bless me to perceive all that's wrong with the seemingly good things of this life. I can never get enough of them. They cannot be trusted. They are the door to every pain I have. Grant me then to strive instead for the happiness of freedom. Grant that these pure thoughts may lead me to be watchful and to recall what I should be doing. Grant me to give the greatest care to make the vows of morality the essence of my practice. They are the root of the Buddha's teaching. I have slipped and fallen into the sea of this suffering life. Bless me to see that every living being, every one my own mother, has fallen into. Grant me then to practice the highest wish for enlightenment, to take upon myself the task of freeing them all. Bless me to see clearly that the wish itself is not enough. For if I am not well trained in the three moralities, I cannot become a Buddha. Grant me then a fierce resolve to master the vows for children of the victors. Grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together. One which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects. The other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. Grant that once I have practiced well the paths shared and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, highest of all ways, holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and good. Bless me to know with genuine certainty that when I have entered thus, the cause that gives me both the attainments is keeping my pledges and vows most pure. Grant that I may always keep them, even at the cost of my life. Bless me next to realize the crucial points of both the stages, the essence of the secret ways. Grant me then to practice as the Holy One has spoken, putting all my efforts in and never leaving off the practice of the 4 times highest that there is. Bless me, grant me, that the spiritual guide who shows me this good road and all my true companions in this quest live long and fruitful lives. Bless and grant me that the rain of obstacles, the things within me and outside me that could stop me now, stop and end forever. In all my lives, may I never live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself, the one who holds the diamond. That you in your courtyard. So shift and wiggle if you feel the need. And then settle back into a posture that you can hold. Be comfortable, not rigid. And bring your attention to your breath. That sensation as it passes the edges of your nostrils is a good place. It requires focus and precision. And although it gets dull very quickly, impose some kind of fascination with those sensations. Out and then in. When you find yourself thinking about something else, just let that go, come back to the breath. In your meditation career, you will come to recognize when the mind, when the attention has settled in and is ready to go on. For now, I will just guide you. So intentionally drop the object of the breath and bring to mind that being who for you is the ultimate love, compassion, wisdom. Think of what it is about them that you admire. Tell them about it and show them some kind of respect. Traditionally, we imagine doing a prostration, but it doesn't have to be that. If you aspire to qualities like that, tell them, I really, really want to be like you. We want to make them an offering. When we do an offering before class, it's to ask them to share with us. And when we do an offering at the end of a class, it's an offering of our gratitude. So at our meditation preliminaries, you can either think of what that teacher has already taught you and feel grateful and make an offering, or you can think of what you hope they will teach you in the future and make an offering. And either way, see how happy they are with your offering. And then offer them also some special thought, word, or deed that you did recently that followed something they taught you. No matter how small or simple you thought it was, tell them. And see them even more happy with you. Then you feel so safe and secure with them. You're comfortable to confess some negative thing. So you think of some deed, thought, word, action that you realize is a negative seed growing in your heart. Explain the facts of the situation, the experience, without any kind of rationalization or explanation, just what happened. And the reaction that you had that you regret. And tell them why you regret it. And tell them of something that you'll do to make up for it. And tell them of your power of restraint, meaning how you're going to not repeat that in a similar future event. Be as specific as you can. Now know that once you've applied your antidote and been successful in your power of restraint, that the seeds from that event that you just confessed have been damaged enough that they cannot ripen. And so be happy with yourself. It's the rejoiceable to clean out. Be happy with everyone you know who's learned their preliminaries of meditation and who do them. Be happy with the teachers who still teach. And be happy with the past yous who have created all this goodness. And make a determination to continue to do so. Ask that precious guide to please stay close to you. To continue to guide you and support you and inspire you. Ask them to help you recognize them, even if sometimes they look different than they do right now. And ask them again to continue to teach you both formally and informally. And then dedicate the goodness that we've just done so far to seeing the humans of our world awaken to the power of kindness, regardless of their situation. And that completes our meditative preliminaries. So bring your focus of attention back to your body and your room. Move a little bit. And then when you're ready, open your eyes, take a stretch, have something to drink. Okay, let's do a quiz. How's my PowerPoint presentation looking tonight? What's this room? See, it has a little happy face in the middle. That's you.
The courtyard.
The courtyard. The courtyard of what?
Enlightenment.
Right. Who's enlightenment?
All of us.
Right. Each one of us. Our own Buddha paradise. It's going to be way more beautiful than your garden. But we're planting seeds. We had to think, do, and say stuff to create sufficient goodness with wisdom, to be ripening our seeds as a being who is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. This whole practice module that we're learning is the basic outline of what we can think, do, and say in a sequence that will plant those seeds and pull out the negative seeds that will move us along this path. We can learn about it, get an idea of the big picture, but never practice it, which won't have wasted your time. Seeds were planted, but maybe would be a missed opportunity to go on. So what did we have to do to get to the courtyard? What's this room? I hope it's more clear on your camera than mine. Yeah, Miguel says creation and completion. Which comes first? Creation or completion?
Creation.
Right. Creation going forward, but we're going backwards. How did I get to my courtyard? I had to complete my completion stage. I had to have, in order to complete my completion stage, I had to have the seeds for completion. Any little completion seed can be sent to the completion of our completion stage. You know, some of us have a history of not completing stuff. Anybody done that? Yeah. But we've also completed a lot of stuff, right? So we have stuff to purify, things we never completed, and we have stuff to rejoice about, things we did complete, and send that rejoicing to the power of completion stage practices coming to you exactly when you're ready, which is going to happen anyway, but right, facilitate it. What was inside the completion stage room? Plumbing.
The teacher?
Yeah, there is a teacher in there too. There's the twisted plumbing
Yeah.
and the teacher helping us know what to do to get it untwisted. So something that shows up, physical exercises, something that shows meditation that we use to fix the plumbing. Did you ever expect to be a plumber in your spiritual life? That's kind of funny, isn't it? So the plumbing's all twisted up and knotted. And as we move through the room from forward to goal, we see that plumbing untwisting, getting more parallel, even coming into being one tube that itself is gonna shrink down and blink out with the help of this precious teacher who is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, who knows these practices and how to teach them. So if this is the final practice stage before transforming in this lifetime, that must be the results of extraordinary goodness, right? So there's a series of things that we do that are designed to help us add to our goodness such that we can see, we can get into this completion stage room so that the completion stage practice teachings will come to us and the teacher to teach them to us. So that was a hallway, remember? The 4 times hallway that was talking about those 4 practices, right, Miguel, you got it. The 4 retreats. Within the 4 retreats, 4 times a day practice, right, the Leirong retreats. And what you do in those retreats, you're planting incredibly powerful seeds in your mind to take you through Zogrim to your courtyard you. So it has to do with mantra and visualization and daily practice. But this in particular is those 4 times practices at certain times of the day, because at those times of day, those practices are imprinting into our subtle body in specific ways. Right? Our subtle body energies shift. They're different in those 4 times of 24 hours. And we want each to be imprinted with these powerful practices. In order to do those practices, we had to learn them. And so the room before is our creation stage room, where we are learning the visualization practices, the prayers, the mantra work, how to carry out the practice of the 4 times. But this room also has to do with our daily practice on the cushion and our daily practice off the cushion. And do you remember what was in this room? What's in the room from beginning, from entry before goal?
Ordinary people.
Ordinary people. You know, the people in your life, your family, your coworkers, familiar people, not just general purpose people, people in your life. And then you have your teacher again in there with you, who's teaching you about these things. You could have in there like a three-ring binder book open, and it represents your practice text. That is the prayers, it is the visualizations. And in this room, you have with that practice text, your Diamond Way implements, which is a dorje and a drill boo, I think, a diamond and a bell, and your mala. And then there's also somehow visualize in that room you interacting with these ordinary people in such a way that as you work with those practices on and off the cushion, by the time you move through the room towards the door to the 4 times room, you're seeing those people, you know, first glimpses of, well, wow, maybe they really are divine beings. You know, like they say just the right thing you needed to hear, or they show up, right, with your car keys that you had lost, right? Some magical things start happening. And by the time you get to the doorway to the layroom hall, they're flying through the sky, you know, manifesting things. And you've changed your seeds from seeing beings as ordinary to seeing beings as divine. They may look the same as they did, but your immediate interaction with them is different. So we know this is starting to happen when we have those little experiences of synchronicities. I had one today. There's a woman in our community. Anyway, a family I was involved in last year, we were celebrating a graduation and we went to this really nice resort for lunch to celebrate. And the waitress comes in, you know, we have our own room. The waitress comes in, she looks at me and she goes, I know you live in Tucson Estates. And it's like, yeah, I do. She goes, I see you walking. I live there too. My name's Brenda. Hi. That was like 2 years ago. And just yesterday, for some reason, I'm thinking of her. I didn't even remember her name. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I would recognize her if I saw her. Today, I'm walking down the street and this lady in her golf cart pulls up and she smiles at me and she says, hi, I haven't seen you in a long time. I'm that lady who works at Star Pass. Do you remember me? My name's Brenda. And we both like dropped our socks when I said, I was just thinking about you yesterday. That kind of thing, right? Comes from working with our creation stage stuff. How did we get to the creation stage stuff? How did we make the goodness to even start to see ordinary people, decide to interact with them in an extraordinary way, making the seeds to actually see them doing extraordinary things, which is going to lead us to doing really extraordinary things. Okay. There was the hallway before creation stage. Remember? I'll bet Miguel knows. Oh, okay. So sorry. No.
It's not the vows part.
The vows, right, the vows, which is funny, vows come really early. Those of you who know where we're going already, vows come much earlier than this. But the vows here means the diamond way vows, which is a whole new set of vows that we get to add to the vows we had taken on before. And there's a misunderstanding about getting into the diamond way practices. And that is that even traditionally, people have thought, well, if I have the goodness to be in the diamond way, I don't need all of those earlier practices. Like, I'm sure, I would think that they're thinking, I've already done those in past lives. I don't need them now. And their proof is, see, I got the initiation without doing them. But the problem with that is that it's true that they got the initiation from those past life seeds, but it means they're using those seeds up and not thinking they need to do anything to perpetuate them. The avoiding the 10 non-virtues, keeping our 5 layperson vows or other freedom vows, and working with our bodhisattva vows are the foundation upon which our tantric vows are laid. And if you build a building on a foundation and then pull the foundation out from under the building, what's going to happen? Crash. Yeah. So our diamond way vows only work if we have this strong foundation in the earlier vows. But this little hallway is indicating that. When we walked into it, right now, I'm not remembering exactly what was in there. There's the book of vows.
The representation of your, when you are exiting, that you kept your vows properly.
Right.
And at the beginning, the book of the vows talking by
Right.
themselves.
Okay. And then you're creating your book and working with it as you move through the hallway. And maybe as you're going towards creation stage, you see like a stack of all your 6 times books. Right? I had stacks and finally threw them into the fire at a fire puja. It felt so good to get those burnt up. So this room, although it's here right before creation, it's about all of our vows, not just our diamond way vows. Diamond way vows are tricky. There are these 3 levels of morality. The first level is learning to avoid doing harm on more and more subtle ways. That's what our freedom vows are about. Bodhisattva vows are the second level. They're about ways to help people. But the way the vows are written is that I vow to fail to help, not I vow to help. So when we say I vow not to fail to help, it says we'd only fail to help in a situation, where there's a need and we have the ability, etc. Whereas if the vow said, I will help, it means anywhere a problem's going on in the world and we don't go try, we're not keeping our vows, right? That's impossible. So the way they're worded is really important. And even when we work with them, the way they're written, on that phone app, the vows, they're short because, you have to do that. But when I say them to myself, I vow to avoid blah, blah, blah. Because otherwise it sounds like I have a vow to, and it sounds like we get them backwards. But when we get to the diamond way vows, many of those are stated in the positive. I vow to do X, Y, Z. And it's very difficult to keep. So why would they move us through a path to give us vows that we can't keep? Fortunately, we can't fix them. And what it takes to fix them keeps us doing the practices. It's kind of skillful means, right? In a mean kind of way. No, it's not mean. It's perfect. But we have to keep fixing them. Remember Lord Atisha's story? They're traveling somewhere and all of a sudden, stop. And he gets down and does his purification practice. Hour later, he gets back on the horse. Okay, let's go again. They never get where they're going to go because he keeps being so precise with his mind. May we do so. Okay, so it's the vows room, the hallway. How did we get our diamond way vows? We go through a room called the initiation room. Initiation, the term for initiation in Tibetan is wong. I'm going to show you my vocabulary as soon as I put my board down. But I want you to see the room before initiation room because it's hexagonal. Right? So I'll get back to that. The initiation room, Geshe Michael says, let's make it round. And it's shining in light, like a crystal building, like a room made of crystal. And as the light's shining in from the sun, there's rainbows everywhere. Let me get you my vocabulary here. All right, so I'm just adding to our list. Here's the word wong. It means empowerment. And it's that ceremony that happens in which the Diamond Master confers these different blessings upon us. Part of what we get conferred is our dorje and drilbu, which in Sanskrit is vajra and ganta, which mean diamond and bell. The diamond in sutra, we've been taught to trigger thinking of emptiness when we see, think, hear diamond. In the diamond way, the diamond represents the method side of practice. Curious. And then the bell, the drilbu, represents the emptiness or the wisdom, because its ring, right, radiates out endlessly. So it symbolizes how the wisdom of emptiness radiates through everything. And the two together represent method and wisdom, which represents the accumulations of goodness that result in our form body of enlightened being and our mind body of enlightened being. So in all of these teachings, we have vocabulary, and it has a meaning on one level and another meaning on another level. And our learning is all about learning all those different levels, right? And how they apply to our practice. And if it's a goodness to learn all this stuff, it requires creating the causes for that goodness to ripen, which is what our foundation courses teach us about and give us the opportunity to plant seeds for, right? So it's all designed perfectly to bring us along the path. I want to say effortlessly, which isn't true, of course, but smoothly. All right, so I wanted to show you Wong. I'm going to get rid of this again. In that initiation room, there is this holy being again. Maybe they're the same one. Maybe they look different. They are dressed ceremonially in silken robes and jewels. They look so holy. And in this room is a beautiful altar and what's called the deity of the mandala, or sorry, the mandala of the deity. I should have written that one down too. I'll do it later. And you. So that teacher is for you the one who can introduce you to your own personal deity. Can I use that word? Your own personal angel who's been waiting for you to meet them. They've known you, but for you to meet them. And we need this intermediary of someone who has already met them in order to introduce us, right? It's like, Angel, here's Sandra. Angel goes, yeah, I know. I've known Sandra for a long, long time. But Sandra, here's your angel. And Sandra goes, oh, wow, nice to meet you. And it happens in 4 different ways, each of which we make some commitments and we're gifted a gift, a practice gift. And it can be like overwhelming and you don't think you understand a bit of what's going on. And it's okay, right? We let the magic happen. And then our task is to go to that teacher and say, now teach me what I do with this. So hopefully that person that we accept this initiation from is someone who knows it, knows how to give the initiation, knows how to do the practices, is able to teach it, and that we see as someone who has those capabilities. Because somebody could have those capabilities from their side. And if we don't see it in them, even if we go to the initiation from them, if some part of us is saying, oh, they don't really know what they're doing, they're not really qualified, we can get all those initiations and we won't actually receive the seeds. Right? We could be given our vows, but the vow aura won't come on. So finding this teacher and asking properly is a really big aspect of having the goodness to enter this initiation room. And again, I'm plugging the ACI Foundation courses. Every now and then, we hear some little clues about that whole process. The ACI is sutra classes. We don't talk about Diamond Way, except, right? Except those who are partway through already, you know how that goes. It's all about planting seeds that will ripen for our initiation to be a complete one when we're ready for it. So once we've finished in that initiation room, you know, the door opens to the vows hallway, and we need to learn about those vows. And as we work on living according to those additional vows, guidelines for behavior, we move into the creation stage practice where we're planting the seeds that when those seeds, as those seeds ripen, we see ordinary beings doing extraordinary things. And we see other beings seeing us do extraordinary things sometimes. And then we don't move from creation stage to the 4 times. It's like a natural part of the creation stage is your 4 times retreats. But from your 4 times practice, you do at some point move into the creation stage practices. And you work on your plumbing, probably by helping somebody else work on their plumbing. And finally, right, the 2 doors open into your courtyard and bingo. Enlightened you and enlightened paradise, next instant emanating, aware of your emanations. Just cool. So let's take a break and we'll find out what we have to do to get into the initiation room. Okay, I don't have to do anything. All righty.
Namasarani,
Yes.
is there a reason why this is in a building? Because you say start in a building, inside there is a courtyard. Why is there a specific meaning on that? Like why not in a mountain or
I don't think so. when we visualize our creation stage practices, they do always have the angel Lama in what's called a crystal palace. But the crystal palace is a beautiful room, and it does have walls and a ceiling, but they're made of diamond. So
Okay.
I don't really know. Geshe Michael chose to use that, probably just to give it a framework. But it could be, you could do a countryside and walk through different areas.
And there was also a question in the chat that I also think is, okay, why there are two doors? And you say there are two doors and then you go through one, and what happened with like in Matrix, you choose one.
The last two doors, they open together. Double doors into your,
It's not two different doors, it's like these big doors with double.
right, they're gonna go like this. Oh,
Okay. Thank you.
you could have sliders if you want,
Okay.
yeah.
So maybe just last question. If I'm doing the 1000 angels practice in my meditation time, I can do this meditation, or this is too much to mix both in one? Like the meditation you do for guiding us through the.
I think
It's
it's
not good to
too much.
combine. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's too much. Because 1000 angels, you have in mind something that you're fixing, and right. And that's better to keep that focus there. And
Yeah, okay. I was just because of time constraints. So
I understand. Maybe this one could be your weekend meditation.
yeah, good idea. Thank you.
Okay, are we back? Can we be back? Better question. Yes, 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 yes. Let's be back. Okay, let me read you the verses that we've covered so far. I'm going backwards. Reaching the courtyard is the final one. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself, the one who holds the diamond. The one who holds the diamond means your Buddha, you in your paradise emanating. I'm going to skip the verses about the Holy Lama. We'll come back to those later. Bless me to realize the crucial points of both the stages, the essence of the secret ways. Grant me then to practice as the Holy One has spoken, putting all my efforts in and never leaving off the practice of the 4 times highest that there is. So that verse is talking about our completion stage room. It's a square. Our completion stage room, our 4 times hallway, our creation stage room. All in that one verse. The verse before that. Bless me to know with genuine certainty that when I have entered thus, the cause that gives me both the attainments is keeping my pledges and vows most pure. Grant me that I may always keep them, even at the cost of my life. So Grant me to know with genuine certainty when I have entered thus, which means when I've come from the initiation room into creation stage. The way that I get there is by having the goodness from working with my vows, both my open teaching vows, and now that I have my additional secret way vows, working with those vows is what starts our creation stage practice. Grant that once I have practiced well the paths shared and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, highest of all ways, holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and good. This is referring to entering the initiation room, where we get granted our diamond way vows and practices. It can only happen when we've become a worthy vessel. And the way we become a worthy vessel is by practicing well what's called the paths shared. The paths shared means all those earlier paths that were not even Mahayana level yet, but rather the earlier practices motivated by wanting to close the doors on lesser rebirth, wanting to reach our own nirvana. That can be a whole practice path, either one of those. For some, we learn about those two practice paths, and some goodness in our heart ripens and says, yeah, but what about everybody else? If this is true that I can close those doors, I can stop suffering altogether, everybody can do it. I want to help everybody do it. So when we have had that, even if, when we've had that, that puts us on that level of the Mahayana. But it means we've already had exposure to those other two pathways, previous lifetimes. And we still need to cultivate the behaviors that will stop the doors to lower rebirth, that will bring us along to nirvana as a side effect, and then will especially move us along into the bodhisattva path. So they call, in a Mahayana teaching, which this is, they call the whole Lamrim, they call the Lamrim before level of bodhisattva the paths shared, rather than calling them the lower paths. It's to remind us that we never give them up. If we lose them as our foundation, our bodhisattva building will fall down. And if our diamond way is built upon our bodhisattva building, it's all going to fall down. Right? So it's important, this term paths shared. It's the paths shared practices that are designed to plant the goodness in our minds that ripens as moving ourselves along through the Bodhisattva Sutra path and plant the seeds in our mind for at some point, this life or another, saying, this Bodhisattva path is fabulous, but it's too slow. I'm ready for a bigger commitment. And that's the diamond way. Once our seeds ripen, us as a worthy vessel, part of that worthiness will be someone showing up in life that we will recognize as someone who's capable of bringing us into the diamond world, into the mandala of the angel. How that's going to look for you, I have no idea. It only happens by way of making the seeds. We make the seeds by way of our sutra training. Okay. So how do I become a vessel that is worthy? Like, what's the immediate worthy vessel practices that gets us to the initiation stage? And that's this room that is hexagonal. You see? So one of the points goes to the initiation room. The other point here has the door to what comes next. So you have the orientation. If you want colors, call this door red. Like all of these doors are red until you get here, and then maybe that one's a rainbow. A red door. There's going to be a metaphorical thing, right, at each of these walls, 6 walls. Right, and so we're going to enter in here. So there's going to be stuff. I'm going to describe it. What do you figure a 6-sided room is related to?
The 6 perfections.
6 perfections.
6 perfections. Look how smart we all are. Exactly. The 6 perfections. Practicing the guidelines of the 6 perfections before we actually have wisdom grows the goodness in our minds to help us gain the wisdom, that when we have the wisdom, the same practices that we did of the 6 perfections now become causes for our Buddhahood. Whereas before we had wisdom, the same deeds planted the seeds to get wisdom, to get into the initiation room, to get through creation stage, completion stage, to reach our Buddhahood. So the 6 perfections, we start practicing those 6 even before we are truly a bodhisattva, because it's the behaviors are such goodness because of our wish to do them perfectly in order to become a Buddha, to help everybody learn how to reach their ultimate happiness. So when we do any kind of act of giving, from old worldly idea, it's just nice to give somebody something. That's a good deed. it will come back to us as a pleasant thing that'll wear out. When we have the idea about karmic seeds, and I really want to stop everybody's suffering, but I really know that I'm not capable yet. But now I do my act of giving, it can be the same one. But now I'm doing it so that someday I will be able to help that person in that deep and ultimate way as well. The seed planted is different, even though it's the same deed, because it's a different thinking about it. That goodness grows in our hearts. The 6 perfections are what?
Sharing,
Yeah, sharing,
kindness,
right? Moral discipline,
patience,
patience, not getting angry when the time comes.
joyful effort,
With effort, having a good time doing our other perfectionizers.
meditative concentration,
Right.
and wisdom.
And wisdom. Right. So they go in order in the sense of bringing them to perfection. It does not mean until you are a perfect sharer, you don't practice ethical discipline, of course. What it means is that our effort to create our practice of giving more and more wise, it means that we end up less and less attached to our stuff, to our opinions, and more able to either give it away or share it. And that means because we're less attached to it all, when we get in a situation where we might be inclined to be unkind in some way, to get what we want, to keep our stuff, we're not as likely to be unkind to keep our stuff because we're less attached to it. Then as our ability to choose kindness, ethical choices, avoiding harming others, trying to help grows in our mind stream, we get to the point even where unpleasant situations that used to make us angry, now, in fact, we see the opportunity of those situations to, like, at first, feel the anger come up and the blaming the other person, and catch it ourselves and refuse to act in the way we would ordinarily act. Maybe just be like a bump on a log. Maybe even go so far as to be kind to the person who's pissed you off. Every time we can get upset and we don't replant it, we've burned away getting upset seed situations. And sooner or later, the same situation can happen, but you won't get upset because you have no more getting upset seeds left. Even if you have the seeds for that person telling lies about you, right? Because burning off anger seeds is different than burning off lying seeds. So as we are getting to the point where we are refusing to be unkind, no matter what, even in unpleasant situations, we're still refusing to be unkind. And that works specifically with our past anger, frustration, irritation, etc., which we all must have a lot of because it's its own perfectionizer. Then, as we recognize the change in our seeds, we reach that joyous effort component where we're having a good time doing our kindnesses, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. That sounds weird. Having a good time doing goodness in unpleasant situations. We see it right in those people that, go flying into disaster areas. And like, I'm not saying they're enjoying the disaster, but I'm saying that is hard, miserable, awful, heart-rending work. And they step right in to do it. I really admire them all. Like that. Those 4 levels of practice accumulate such goodness that when we sit down to meditate, that goodness helps our meditative practice effort be successful. Because successful meditative practice is a positive ripening. Our goodness also ripens as mindfulness off the cushion. So as our meditative concentration improves, our off the cushion concentration improves, and we can focus our off cushion mindfulness on our ethical choices throughout our day. Right? So a lot of people learn mindfulness. Be really mindful eating your oatmeal, and it's good for your central nervous system. That's right. This tradition says, be mindful of your behavior towards others, because every instant of every behavior is planting imprints in your own mind that's going to be your own circumstances in life. You want pleasant? Everybody wants pleasant. Be pleasant, no matter what. That's the Bodhisattva way. Hard to do, as we all know, because we have selfishness seeds, because we think that we exist as an entity independent of our own past behaviors. As we recognize more and more clearly, no, everything about me and my experience is results of my own past behavior, then my current behavior is responsible for everything I'm ever going to experience. And it gives you personal responsibility, doesn't it? It gives you personal power. Think of it that way. The responsibility is almost too big to hear that in a starter class like this. But why not just get it over with, right? We're headed to personal responsibility for everything. But little by little is fine. Within our own arenas, we start. Okay, why am I talking about all that? Because the verse says, the one right before the initiation room, is grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together, one which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. So these are the last two of the 6 perfections: meditative concentration and wisdom. They get their own verse because of the critical piece of the first 4 perfections being practiced before they're actually perfections. And they grow the meditative concentration ability to reach the platform from which we can experience emptiness directly, which is what we mean by the perfection of wisdom. Once we've had that experience directly once, we are forever changed. And that wisdom in our mind never goes away. So that now when we do our giving, moral discipline, not getting angry, joyous effort, they are done with wisdom instead of just with wishing for wisdom. Right? So these last two, in and of themselves practices, are important to think of in that way. All of our other bodhisattva activities and the paths shared before them grow into this meditative platform to see emptiness directly, right? So they get their own 2 walls in our bodhisattva room. So let me tell you about these 2 walls, and then I think I want to walk us through it. So I'd hope to do all 6, but I talk too much. Let me show you my screen again. Okay, here's the vocabulary for the last 2 wisdoms. Shine is the Tibetan, shamatha is Sanskrit. It means the meditative concentration, but not literally. Literally, it means stillness. Some people call it calm abiding. It means being able to hold our focused attention bright, alert, fascinated, and pleasurably on any object that we choose for as long as we choose. That is not the goal of meditation for this tradition. It is for many. Shamatha. What we want is this fine-tuned tool of our mind that we can then turn to special insight, Laktong in Tibetan, Vipassana in Sanskrit. It means high seeing, highest seeing, by which they mean that direct experience of ultimate reality, the lack of self-existence of all existing things, including oneself and all enlightened beings. To have that experience directly, while you are in it, you are unaware that you are in it. You are unaware of anything, apparently. I find that hard to understand. And then those seeds wear out and you come out of it. And when you come out of it, that's when you realize what you just did. And you have these other realizations that come not in deep meditation, one of which, I suppose it's still in meditation, is the heart opening experience of seeing the face of all beings and loving them. I think you've all heard Geshe Michael describe that. The actual direct experience of bodhicitta, they call that. Or yeah. And that doesn't happen to everyone with their direct perception of emptiness, which is why it's important to study about it and aspire to it, so that we have seeds planted, so that will be included in our experience. And when we have both of those experiences, that's what puts us on what's called the first bodhisattva bhumi, right? Where our focus of our practice now is the perfection of giving, the perfection of sharing. We've been doing it before. And the same habits of giving material things, giving protection, giving love, giving the Dharma, we do. We're already trained. But now we're doing them with this different state of mind. So the thing with the direct perception of emptiness is that in order to have that experience requires our single pointed focus of attention to be able to be at that level where our sensory awareness is all shut down, including the thought. But we're not asleep, we're not dead, right? Somehow our awareness is still happening. And then the task is to turn that keen awareness from whatever object it was on to the true nature of that object, which is its absence of its own nature. Now, again, the ACI Foundation courses are all about learning what I mean by that. To experience that directly means that now you know the truth of dependent origination and emptiness. Call it karma and emptiness. Up until that point, we've maybe believed in it and logically shown it to ourselves and even lived according to it. But until we experience it directly, we will still have a certain amount of doubt. And when enough yak poop hits the fan, we'll lose that worldview and we'll go back to the one that colors all of our seeds. To have that experience is like finally riding a bicycle yourself after having decided you wanted to know what riding a bicycle is like, but all you did was watch every video ever made about what it's like to ride a bike. You would be an expert in how to tell somebody what it's like to ride a bike. But until you got on the bike and rode it, you really wouldn't know for yourself. That's what having the direct perception of emptiness means. And you will know. And nobody can ever tell you after that, no, riding a bike is not like that. Right? Because it's like, yes, it is. I did it. Nobody can tell you emptiness is not like that. Yes, it is. Right? I was there. So, Lakton, Vipassana, is the word for that experience and the wisdom in our mind that now colors every seed we ever make. But we still have seeds that were made without that wisdom. Seeds that were made with ignorance. And those seeds still are ripening. So we go back to seeing our world in the same old way, experiencing our world in the same old way, only now we know we're wrong. And so the seeds that are ripened with ignorance are not replanted with ignorance. How much time is it going to take to burn off all the ignorance and plant new with wisdom? Right? It's a balancing thing. It's just mathematics at that point. Then just a glimpse, there's a way to plant those wisdom seeds even stronger so that they ripen sooner. And that's the diamond way. But technically, you don't need it. Right? It's just without it, it takes a little longer. Right? So we need the Shine level of concentration in order to cultivate our intellectual understanding of emptiness, in order to increase our ability to do our other four perfections with greater pretend wisdom, to increase our meditative focus to allow us to reach that direct perception. Now, the diamond way fits at the tip of those two walls because you don't have to see emptiness directly before you enter the diamond way. It's great if you have, but part of the process of the diamond way practices is to cultivate that experience faster. Right? So we work on it just like the 6 perfectionizers. They are that. We work on our meditative concentration. We work on our wisdom. And when we're getting frustrated, this is taking too long. Right? Have yourself well prepared and then go to someone that you see as capable of taking you in the diamond way and ask them. Right? They may say no. They may say, what have you been waiting for? Let's get on with it. Don't know. Okay. So let's quickly go through these rooms. We have 1.5 new ones, the initiation room and the 2 of the Bodhisattva 6 perfections. And then the others you're familiar with already. I only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to go fast. Let's do it forward order, so I don't run out of time before I reach the new stuff. All right, so settle in, bring your attention to your breath. Recall that precious holy being who's there with you. Put them at your side. Your left side would be good. Know that they're there inspiring you. And find yourself standing in this hexagonal room towards its exit. you see those two walls that are, going diagonally. You don't really know what else is in that room. It doesn't matter right now. As you're looking, the wall to your left, see a little table with a microscope that has multiple focal lengths, multiple lenses. And it has a sign that says, use me 1 hour a day. When you use a microscope, you put your object on the slide. You put the first level of lens, 10x. You look inside. You bring the object to focus at 10x magnification. You see details you couldn't see before. Then you turn the lens to the 100x magnification. You refocus and you examine for even finer details that are now obvious that weren't before. Then you turn the lens again, 1000x, and refocus. Get the idea? This is metaphor or whatever. This is an example of training our mind in meditative concentration. Doesn't really matter the object, although this tradition says, make your object a virtuous one, and you're gathering even more goodness while you train yourself in focus. We learn the details of how to stay on the object, how to fix it when we're not, how to recognize dullness from agitation, how to move through the levels. So that we get good at it and we enjoy it. That's the important piece. To enjoy your meditation. But it's only the tool. And so look to your right wall. You see a little shelf, and on a really pretty little velvet cushion is this diamond. Beautiful, glistening, pure diamond. To remind us that ultimately what we want to be looking at under the microscope is the true nature of whatever our object was. So what one's going to do in this room is pick up the microscope, take it to the shelf with the diamond, put the diamond underneath the lens, and crank your lens and focus up until you've penetrated to the emptiness of the diamond itself. Signifying our reaching the direct perception of emptiness, or at least the highly conceptual experience of emptiness. So now we could stay here staring through that microscope for a really, really long time. The Lama by your side says, great, you're ready. You say, but I haven't seen emptiness directly yet. They say, that's okay, come with me. And they opened that red door into this beautiful round crystal room shining in light. Now, as they move in ahead of you, you see them transform from what they look like before to now some extraordinary being. Almost hard to gaze at them there, shining in such light, such love. Look around the room, you see a beautiful altar. Many offerings. You see a flat image like the sand paintings, you know, that the monks do. Or maybe it's 3D. And you know it's a special representation of a divine place. You don't know where or what. And see before your precious guide 4 small tables with 4 objects of some kind. One's white, one's red, one's blue, one's every color. And sit before that holy being and just wait. 4 things are going to happen. I can't tell you what. And then that holy being takes you by the hand towards the door at the other side of this round room. And they hand you a book. 2 books, actually. One that is your new vows. One that is your practice instructions. And they hand you your diamond and your bell. And they open the door to the vows room. And there's something that's singing those vows out loud, all your vows, not just the new ones. And something in that room that shows you your method that you have been using and will use to check your behavior. And as you reach the exit to that room, see something that represents all your past efforts to track your behavior, a stack of your books or something. Be happy with yourself at those efforts. They must be paying off because here you are. The Lama, there's not really a door between this hallway and the creation stage. We just move with the teacher into creation stage room now. You see your people looking ordinary. You see something that indicates your efforts to practice your worldview. They look ordinary. I know they're blank. Could they all be angels here to help me and I just can't see it? Why not pretend they are? And as you do your practices on and off the cushion, they start to do things. You see things. And you're recognizing them as these special beings. And to cultivate those seeds further, you move into the 4 times hallway, where you isolate yourself and work very diligently on those visualizations of being the angel and what angels do. And then come out of retreat and see what's changed. And then go back into retreat 4 more sessions a day. Come out, see what's changed. Repeating that pattern until our goodness grows, that allows our seeds to ripen, our teacher saying it's time for completion stage work. And they open the door to the plumbing room. And remember, at first it's all twisted up. There's something in there to remind you that there'll be exercises and meditations and the holy teacher there to help you. And through what you do there, the plumbing untangles, becomes parallel, becomes one tube, and guides you through those 2 open doors that open up. And you find yourself there in the middle of your courtyard. That being who is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. A body made of zillions of virtuous deeds. A voice, speech, made of zillions of virtuous deeds, speaking out the holy Dharma. A heart that emanates love in the form of anything for anyone. Then think of that person, that area of the world that we wanted to be able to help at the beginning of class. We have learned things that we will use to help them in that deep and ultimate way someday. Already that goodness is radiating forth. And so be happy with yourself. Be happy with your past yous that brought you here. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall that precious holy guide who's helping you. Grow your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them, and offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. Feel them there. That love, that compassion, that wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with all existence. And especially to share it in those areas of the world that are in conflict right now. And may it be so. Okay. Thank you so much. Are there any burning questions before I leave you for the weekend? Good. You have some stuff to play with. Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Lama Sarani.
You're welcome. Have fun with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
you,
you.
Juliet.
Thank you so
Please.
much, Amasarani.
Always stay and teach us.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye. I'm leaving.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.